not being effective at all. He actually almost lost the medevac, lost 3 Marines, and will be forced away. Now 28 lings in production for antibody, and that might be an overkill, guys. 28 lings for absolutely nothing. He does have a lot of money though, so that I'll give him that, but he really needs a lot more production if he wants to spend it. Trying to pick off this Overlord, he will get it. Morphing in 3 Banelings, he thinks he can actually get these in, but with proper micro, these Marines should be able to pick these off without actually doing any damage. And our Terran player, meanwhile, is getting an armory, so these Thors will be very effective against the Mutalisks if they so choose to harass. A single Thor, basically, in the main base and the expansion will be able to deny any kind of Mutalisk harass. As long as they still have turrets, we actually see the Banelings hitting the Marines here, killing 4 of them for 3 Banelings. It is kind of an okay trade. I think that the Zerg actually falls behind on that trade, but now he has 12 mutas on the field. These 12 mutas will be able to harass forever. Now, a lot of turrets in the main base and the expansion for GDI, but he has still some weak spots. For example, right here, this tech lab is actually very prone to get picked off, as well as this command center. If he decides to land it, it's still not destroying these rocks, so he has decided not to move out, and this is looking to be a very interesting game compared to the last one. The Zerg player is actually behind on economy, and that is not where you want to be. 2 bases against 2 bases. He really should take this 3rd base right away. He is a bit late on that, but still, with Burrow and Banelings, he could get some lucky Baneling shots off and eventually kill off the Terran army before it walks across the map. And with these mutas, he can pick off the rest of the tanks, so he is looking in a great shape with proper control. He might be able to take this game, even though there is a lack of economy. Sorry about that, I just misclicked here and revealed the timer for ever so slightly. Hopefully you didn't see it. Now these lings walking across the map, gonna see what they can pick off. They actually take control of the watchtowers. Very wise choice. You always want to get that vision, and that is some amazing creep spread by antibody. He should actually link these 2 bases with creep, but this creep tumor is actually making its way towards the 4th base. So I love this creep spread, a great control, and if he can control these mutas right, he could actually pick off this turret and do huge damage to this mineral line. You can see all these SCVs so clumped up. There are so many of them, and he really needs to pay attention and go right now before iwinGDI actually notices this. And during that time, iwinGDI is actually stuck on 3 bases until he can get some kind of answer for these mutas. You can see 3 Thors in production, so there are actually 3 factories with tech labs here, and these mutas are walking in here, completely ignoring the turrets. I don't think that is a wise decision. I mean, he might be able to do a lot of damage, but he will lose a lot of mutas, and you really can't afford to lose mutas. You need to keep those muta count up, because that is what is going to bring you to the late mid game, and eventually those Broodlords will be what are going to bring you into the late game. But only losing 1 right now, so good control. 2 in the deep red, but now he is cornered with all these Marines. If these Marines could have actually anticipated their movement here, losing a lot more here, and that is never good. He actually lost the 2 that were in the red, and now losing a 4th one, and with 3 Thors, they will get some volleys off. No, they do not. Losing more mutas is never what you want, and he only got away with 6 very injured mutas. So he had 12 or 14 on the field, and now only comes away with 6. That was a bit of a blunder here by antibody. He really didn't do that much damage. He did kill 8 workers, but against maybe like 8 mutas, that is never a good trade, and the Terran player is still ahead in Harvester, so he really needed to do a lot more damage than that. So antibody, watch your mutalist control. Just poke in and poke out. You'd never want to actually run straight through a base, because you can be intercepted by Marines, Thors, and everything else that is there. These queens have a lot of energy on them, so they could transfuse these mutas and bring them back to full health. But I'd guess they just decide to chill up here and talk about their narrow escape. A lot of mutas in the middle of the map here, in the middle of the base here. 5 more could be very useful, like, if they do join these 6 other mutas. And now Antibody should actually be gearing up for a 4th, as well as his Hive Tech. And as I said that, he starts his Hive Tech. So great choice. He will be able to get some Broodlords out against this heavy mech army. Those will be very potent. You can actually, is that the little wing? He does have the collector's edition of Starcraft. You can see these stores actually have the badass wings on them. So iwinGDI, a true Starcraft fan, bought the collector's edition and has the cool Thors to show it off. Now, during this little downtime in the game, I'll just speed up a bit. You can see 4 Corruptors in production. He is gearing up to produce some Broodlords with that, as well as Infestors. You can see the Infestor energy upgrade going up, as well as Carapace and melee attack level 2. During that time, Terran infantry armor level 2, as well as weapons level 2. So these 2 players are very, very equal in upgrades. But these tanks actually have +1, so now they will one-shot Zerglings no matter what. And he is gonna scout everywhere. 1 drop gonna try and make its way to the main base, but these mutas should be able to intercept in time. He does spot it with that Overlord. Was he paying attention? No, he was paying attention to this drop down here. So these mutas will try and go down here, but this main drop actually throwing down a few Banelings in the main base. So quick reaction time by Antibody. This 4th base will finally go up. This drop was picked off by the mutas, dropping a few single Marines on these Banelings, and there it goes. It was denied. So good trade here actually by iwinGDI. 1 Marine for 1 Baneling is always good, but losing that medevac with it is actually now brings it up to even trade. So these drops still doing nothing. 1 sensor tower in the middle, gonna spot for any kind of mutalist harass. This 3rd base is already up and mining, and I think that iwinGDI still has, no, he actually stopped producing SCVs here, so that might be his downfall. He does not have enough to saturate 3 bases, although this 1st base is already mined up, so he does not need as many SCVs, but he could be getting a lot more bases here. You can see his money is at 3,000 minerals. He could expand just like 4 times and just drop down mules non-stop, and that would be awesome. I would love to see this now. Huge engagement here at the middle of the map. I will come back to normal speed here for this engagement, and he should be sieging up and scanning everywhere. I wonder if actually a lot of Infestors here, 5 Infestors, 11 Mutalisks, and now 9 Corruptors gonna be morphed in, as well as a whole bunch of Banelings here. If he can get a nice flank, this might do huge damage, and if he can get those Broodlords in time, this Greater Spire is almost done. These Broodlords will be able to morph in time before this attack comes, so I think he might be able to actually hold this off. This is one huge mech army though. He should be pushing in before the Broodlords come, because once those Broodlords are morphed in, fortunately for him, he is Antibody is gas starved, so only able to morph in 2 Broodlords, but still they will do huge damage. These Broodlords do force the tank to actually unsiege, and that's where the Lings and Banelings can just run in and ravage the rest of the army. If he can get some nice Baneling shots on these Marines, these Thors should actually be very easy to pick off with the rest of the mutas and the Broodlords. A lot of Corruptors actually being produced uselessly here. He should use the Corruption ability anyhow. Or maybe he does not have Neuroparasite, so he cannot even mind control these stores, and a lot of Marines just dying there to Infestors. I love Antibody's Infestor control. He always gets the best fungal growth. And actually almost no Marines left in this army. So these Broodlords, as soon as they pop up, they will be able to clean this up, because there are no more Marines. These Thors don't actually do that much damage to Broodlords. They only do 8 damage per shot, and these very beefy Broodlords will take forever to die. And now these Thors are just gonna stand on the low ground here. Little does he know there are 4 Broodlords about to attack. or more than 4. No, that was the 4 and 3 more in production. And these Broodlords, if they can stay on the high ground here, they will be almost invincible. I don't know what he's doing. He's waiting for more Broodlords, but really, I guess there is really no rush into killing this army.